Good morning. We stayed the night in Salt Lake City. We're actually driving out to Vernal, Utah today. It's about a 3-hour drive. We're going to film Quicksand Inc. And our connection there, Whitney Pace, actually reached out to us and invited us out to do this video shoot. She was at our recent bulk freight conference and said that and she'd be honored if we came out. So we're on our way out there. I don't know a whole lot about Quicksand Inc. But I do know they run a huge fleet of trucks. I think it's like 70-something trucks if you look it up on the FMCSA. And even talking to other truckers out here, they all know or work with Quicksand. So excited to see their operation. And yeah, you can tell this drive out here. We just went through Park City, and just absolutely amazing. I've said this before, but I never really visited Utah until the last really 5 to 10 years, and I've been out here on some hiking trips. But it's just a gorgeous part of the United States that, like, I think a lot of people don't even know exists. So highly recommend if you can ever get out this area. It's just so beautiful, and yeah, excited to film this one today with Quicksand.
Right here is your founding members, if you will. So Cody Evans, and this is Corey Goodrich and Jesse Goodrich and Jesse's brother. So when you see the sign when you come in, it says Goodrich Mud Company. Mud is not what you think it is out here. We call sand mud because when it goes into a frac, it basically turns it into a mud so it will flow through a frac. But they got it all started 2004.
Yep.
How it got started, why we bring Craig into it, is they would rail the sand into Craig, and then we would truck it over here.
How far is Craig?
Yeah, it's about 2 hours. So they would run just as many loads as they could every day. 2 trucks started it.
Where's that sand coming out of?
It comes out of Wisconsin and stuff like that. They go in and dredge the rivers and get it. So actually this white sand right here is what we all got started with. And what we call that's 100 mesh.
So did it just get going 20 years ago, or had it been fracking had been even before that?
Oh yeah. And there's different types of fracs. So depending on what you're going after, you just go into Colorado and they can water frac in those formations, which means that they don't use any sand, which they've kind of started doing more recently. They've been playing with it for a while. If you try and water frac out here, it's not going to work for you. But that shale out there, they can water frac it and get that stuff to open up. But they go after gas. We go after crude. So every little place, I mean, you could frac a set of wells here and go 2 miles down the road, and that formation can be completely different. So that's where you rely on your engineers and when they test drill and stuff like that and see what's in there.
So our drive over here from Salt Lake City,
saw all the crude trucks, didn't you?
We probably passed 500 of them.
I guarantee you.
That's all this oil.
Yeah, it is. So that's
Where's it going?
going back to our roots where we started. We don't have a rail here, so that's why this trucking is so big here. Going to Craig, sand would come in, right? So we'd have to truck it in. Same with all the crude going out. We don't have a railhead here, so it's going to the Salt Lake City area or down to like the Price area, the railheads.
And then they'll rail it out of Price all the way to Texas.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing about our crude oil is nowhere else in the country has crude oil like we do. It's very high paraffin wax, and that's what they go after. So when they're trucking that crude, those trailers look massive.
Yeah.
Well, they're all insulated because that crude oil has to stay between 180 and 240 degrees at all times, or it will
Those
set
trucks
up.
On the road, that crude is
hot.
There's 8-10 inches of insulation in that trailer to keep it.
And when you first pull into that refinery to unload, the first thing they do is take a temp. They'll take a sample of that oil and make sure it's hot enough. So when it gets put on the rail, it's three trucks to every rail car, I think. So and they're just constant, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. They never stop.
A lot of them coming out of this basin.
Yep. Wow. So it will set up on them in those rail cars. So when it gets to Texas, they have a system built that puts steam around all of it and starts to get it warm again so they can offload it. But what they go after is the paraffin wax. And
what is that?
Paraffin wax is, it's wax. So it looks like a candle, basically. If you mash up a candle in your hand.
Paraffin,
So it's used to make chapstick that you put on your lips, crowns, Vaseline.
A lot of petroleum based.
It's a very, and your crude oil in Texas doesn't have any paraffin wax in it. Some Wyoming, some Colorado, but here it's
so they're
all
using
paraffin.
that wax for that, but then also using the petroleum or the rest of the crude for everything else.
Yep, it's all in how they process it at that refinery. They're going to strip everything they can strip out of it. First thing they go after is that wax because it's the most valuable.
That's the one that you see the most. Like he said, the chapsticks and all of that stuff that people don't even think about that comes from the petroleum.
You may know, but if you're taking a guess, how many trucks come out of here a day going to?
Too many.
So I do know Badlands.
Yeah.
They run 75 trucks a day. Most of them get one load, some of them get two loads. And that's just that company.
So one truck's in the distance, it's going to...
Well, and then they're going to slip seat that truck at night, and they're going to do it again.
24 hours a
Truck
day.
doesn't stop.
So
Drivers
150
change.
loads a day in one company, roughly, maybe more.
Yeah.
And that's, I'm sure you saw that you don't see any single trailers out here
No.
hardly. Everybody's pulling a pup around. So that's called a set of Rocky Mountain doubles is what they pull.
Rocky
So
Mountain
that's-
doubles?
I think it's 250 barrels a truckload, 38 gallons in a barrel.
Okay.
So that's
Yeah.
it's a lot. And so that one company, and then you have Iowa Tank Lines. They've probably got 75, 100 trucks that do the same thing.
Iowa Tank
There's, if I had to guess, there'd be 1,000 loads come out of here a day, maybe more.
But what you guys are doing, you're not handling any of the crude. You guys are doing, and you're going to show us today.
Yep, we are on they're going to drill that oil well. And then once they move that drilling rig off, that's when the frac comes in. And then that's where we would step in and start bringing in sand. And a frac is a little city running because they run 24 hours, nothing stops them. Two things, you run out of sand, you run out of water. That'll shut them down, but that's about it.
So high level, what are all the businesses that are here? Like that's all kind of
Primarily all oil field.
Okay. Well, I mean, just for this.
Oh, like
for
right here?
Quicksand and yeah.
Okay,
so you have.
Yeah, Corey Goodrich is the one who started all of it. So Goodrich Mud is the owner of the sand. So they're the ones who rail it into Craig, and then it comes here and it gets stored in these silos, or it gets taken directly out. And then so Quicksand moves the sand, and then like I said, we have Tier 5, who's our chemical tanker side now.
Yep. There's a Wilkins truck right there, part of their fleet.
And then in the last 2 years, Quicksand sand started to die out, so they needed something to substitute sand kind of dying out off and on, and so we started running grain. So now we have hoppers.
Okay.
And that's where I came in. Yeah, I'm the ag side of things.
And the other thing is
Is that
when
still through Quicksand or is that
Yeah,
under?
it's all still through Quicksand. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And you'll see more pneumatic trailers than everything around here. We have, I don't even know how many, hundreds.
I hate to guess.
60? That one right there, that 4-pod is trailer number 171. So we've got at least 171 trailers of different form or fashion. We've got the flatbeds, we've got that stuff, but there's a lot. But
How many trucks total across all the?
Cody said actively we have about 40, but that's not counting like any people that we have leased on with us.
Right.
So like Wilkins guys are leased on with us.
And how many are there?
So
Cody's
back to
got
unit
4.
number. My
Okay.
truck back here is the unit number 75, and it's the highest unit number
Got it.
on
Yep.
trucks.
Okay.
yeah, I think we have, if I had to guess total, we've got at least 75
guess.
trucks with everybody that's tied in with us and everything like that. And then, like I said, you'll see a lot of pneumatics and go, what the heck? Well, that's how we used to move this sand, and we'll explain it a little bit better
Yeah, we can walk
when
that
we
way.
get down here. But so you look at these silos, and people around here, they know I'm going to hold sand, but that's just a grain elevator is all it is. it really is. It's a leg system with all that. So total in just these big ones, 5 million pounds.
Are there several of these companies out here that? Very few. Okay.
Yep.
We're really the only one that has silo setups like this in the area.
I'd say, I think the next closest place is Farmington, New Mexico, where they've got setups like similar to this down there. But yeah, this is basically one of one. So really storing it here, we would load out of the mine actively right out of the mine and take it straight to locations, right? So when you're talking about the sand, it gets treated, it gets sized, so 100 mesh, 40, 70, all that, and it gets dried out because it has to be, for us to blow it out of a pneumatic, it's got to be dry. So when it comes out of that plant, you wouldn't want to stick your hand on the side of that trailer because it'll be hot and it'll burn you. So
I think it comes out around 300 degrees, kind of that kiln.
Oh, wow.
This set of silos is up there. There's 4 of ours and 1 of theirs. So you can load, I mean, there'd be hundreds and hundreds of trucks a day. I mean, it's just constant. But you'd pull in there and you could kind of see the spouts back in there.
Yeah.
And you have an operator that sits in there and they talk to you on the radio, tell you where to stop. You fill out a ticket, tell them how much you want, away you go. You 7 minutes maybe to get loaded.
Pretty quick.
They move them through there a lot.
Accordion down right into the top of these domes, and
Which it's going to be pretty much all pneumatics loading that?
Well,
hoppers too.
Yep.
Hoppers now, okay.
This is some of the transitions that we've seen come about, right? We've kind of seen some things change. One big thing, the EPA got involved. They don't like the dust. So when you're blowing off in a pneumatic, you can stir up a lot of dust. So trying to minimize that, they've went to a bottom drop system. Well, we can unload 7 minutes, 70,000 pounds of sand. The quicker they got trucks, the less trucks they needed, which is why we say there's a little bit of a dip in it, you know. So where you might need 40 pneumatics, you only need 25 hoppers to keep that frac in sand.
Yep.
So
it takes an hour to blow off a pneumatic.
Yep, roughly.
Same amount of product.
Yep. So it changed, and that's when we first started getting hoppers, is to be able to keep hauling sand when they, you know, because it might be this frac running was on pneumatic one, but this one over here, they're bottom dropping it. So to stay with it, you start buying more and more equipment. The chassis that we set the boxes on, those boxes, they put the sand in them. When you get out there, they have a big...
Is that the sand boxes?
Yes, it's the same thing. Yep. Big in Texas. I mean, I don't think there's any, there's some bottom drop.
It's just a container, right?
Yeah.
Right.
That's all it is. It's just a square container.
Sand.
Yep.
That's all, yeah.
Yep. And
They got 2 different systems they use for that, right?
yeah, they will put wet sand in those. And when we say wet sand, it's not like pouring water out of it, but it's about a 5% moisture content. They'll dump that in, load it on us, and they'll take that box and just tip it upside down, dump that sand out of it, set it back down. As you go, you drop off 2 full ones and they load 2 empty ones on you, and you go make another round. A bunch of different ways to do it inside just that one, you know, form of hauling around. But yeah, so there is a few pneumatic jobs still go around here.
Very few.
Very few. It's really started to shift now.
Yeah, it makes total
Gotta roll
sense.
with the changes. I
Yeah.
mean, that's business.
We would bottom drop. Our pneumatics have valves on the bottom of them. We just go up there and open that valve up, and we ran a lot of pneumatics just feeding it out the bottom. And it unloads fairly just as fast as we can with a hopper, but they started to go, no, don't send those, and pretty much it went to all hoppers. And
The biggest problem with that is the ground clearance, right?
yeah, we'd have to take the landing legs off. Like that would have never went over their system. It's too low to the ground. You know, like my hopper trailer, I have commodity style hoppers that are real low to the ground, great big doors on them. I can't get over their pit. I'll drag the bottom of the trailer. So ours are spec'd by Cody to be a certain height off the ground, 32 inches or something like that, where my hopper's 17 inches off the ground. So you kind of got to roll with the punches there, but you just seen it. It was almost like one day it was pneumatics and that job ended, and the next day they were running hoppers. And we were ready, but like everything, everybody starts finding out about it. And so we see trucks from Florida, from the Dakotas, from Texas, Maine. I mean, heck, we go out there and haul this sand, and that job's gonna last 8 months. You're just running sand 24 hours a day for 8 months straight. They come out here. It's the chassis with the sandbox is the same thing. All you need is a truck.
You don't need
no special equipment, no nothing. And most of us, we lease out chassis to people that need them. So they just show up with a truck and back under it, and away they go.
Just in simple terms, so the Rex mine, that sand, it's coming out of the ground. It's not getting dredged out of a river or anything.
No, it's a sandstone formation up there.
But it's okay.
They'll drill down, blast it, and then they'll start processing it. So they'll crush it. They do everything. So it's literally.
But it's wet. It's got
Natural
a certain
wet. We call
natural
it
wet, and then it's got to get dried down. And then once it's dried down, then it's trucked from there
Out to the frac.
right out to the frac.
Yep.
Got it.
And as fast as we haul it out, that's why we say it's hot. I mean, it's usually coming straight out of the kiln into the silos, and they've ran out.
Yeah,
They've had
there's been times we have to wait for them to put enough in the silo to fill our truck.
Yep.
That's how much sand's moving out of that.
So at that point, they might divert half the trucks and they'd start coming down to our yard here. And we had enough to keep, 6 million pounds will run us for a day and a half. But then we'd empty everything here. So then you'd have to bring in more trucks and we'd start hauling from the mine down to here. We'd have 10, 12 trucks just as fast as we could get them unloaded to fill this back up.
Was there times that you're getting it from the local mine, but also coming in off the rail? Or,
Yeah.
I know it's different
That's where he
product.
was going. There was times we'd bring it out of Price and store it here. Maybe the mine's struggling, or there's 6 fracs going on at the same time, and they just can't keep up with it out
Yeah.
of the mine.
Yep. And say we were going over to Colorado running the frac there. Well, we never keep up trying to truck it out of here all the way over there. So they'd rail it into a rail yard over there. We'd load out of that with these transloaders right here and feed that frac that way. So when we frac in Wyoming, we're probably going to come out of Craig with it, or Rock Springs, because they'll rail it into Rock Springs too. So they have ways of getting this sand moved around. You'll look at a rail car system up there and you'll see a lot of coal cars up there, but you'll be like, oh, a lot of grain cars. Well, it ain't grain, it's probably sand. There were times where we'd struggle to keep up, and if we were out of sand here and they weren't quite ready up there, that's why I say there's only a couple things that'll shut a frac down: no water and no sand. If you walk down these stairs right here, you coming down Whitney, or you seen enough spiders?
Oh, man.
One feeds this great big silo over here, and that one feeds all the other 4 or 5 of them over there. But this thing will keep up with as much as we can throw at it. I've never bogged it down. So both doors on the hoppers, and you're probably here 5 minutes and 70,000 pounds is gone and up in the silos. It'll take every bit of it, every bit of it. So, and then, like I was telling you earlier, if you're a Midwest guy like me and you look at this and you go, that's a grain elevator. Well, that's what it is from here. A little bit different, belting and stuff like that. But from here it goes to a leg, and the leg pulls it up, and there's diverter valves up there to fill each silo, and just dumps it in there, and away we go. We were gonna put a truck over it and dump in the pit with these running, but I can tell you one thing: you don't come down here unless you have to, because it's very dusty. You don't. This is silica. Yeah, it's a silica hazard. So there's some fracs we go on, we got to be masked up and stuff like that, because this is the world's deadliest sand. It'll get in your lungs. Yeah. So another reason they're trying to go away from putting a lot of dust in the air, but it's super fine.
You get the dust off of that, it's
Toxic.
Yep. Yeah, it gets in your lungs, and so it's a silica hazard. So if you were out on a frac, there's a million things going on. There's high pressure iron when they're putting 12,000 psi down the hole. So there's iron.
100 barrels a minute.
Yeah, 100
gallons to a barrel, 100 barrels a minute, 12,000 psi.
That's what it takes to fracture that formation to get the oil out of it. So yeah, 100 barrel a minute with 15 big pumps, and we'll show you what a frac pump looks like.
Yeah, let's go see that.
And yeah, 100 barrel a minute, 12,000 psi. It's kind of scary.
There's a frac pump right there.
Yep, there you go.
Oh, man. Man, that's a big old motor.
So that's a Caterpillar 30x12 engine on there.
The only thing missing off of that frac pump is the fluid end. So on the back end of that trailer, right over the axles, would be a Quinniplex pump.
Explain how this works from beginning to end. Like they
How
drill.
they find it and everything.
Well, how they drill down, and then what happens?
We'll start with the finding it. They use a lot of seismic for finding that. Because the zone, when they run their waves down through there for seismic, it'll hit differently in a zone than it will ground, right? So then that's where they know the zone is. And the zone is where the petroleum is, right?
Yep. Where there's a big
Pocket.
pocket.
Right?
Yep.
So when they drill down, we'll go with vertical drilling. Now they'll kick it and go horizontal, right? But for layman's term,
Yeah,
we do
just simple.
vertical.
Okay.
Once they get that formation, they'll case that in.
Yep.
And they'll-
like a water well.
Yep.
Yep.
Cement casing.
Yep.
Yep.
But then they've got to run down basically explosives. They'll put holes in that casing at different levels where the zones are. So when they pump down there at that 12,000 psi, it'll frack the ground, basically fracturing, frac. They'll fracture that zone, pack it full of sand. That sand holds it open, but allows the product to flow back up. That's pretty simple terms. But
Yep. Yep.
So the sand, I know they open those holes up. The sand gets pushed in there, and that's holding
Holding it open.
Holding the formation from collapsing on itself.
And they're using that sand because that sand can get. I mean, you're pushing that sand into those cracks to hold it open.
Yep.
But again, second grade level, so that you got that casing, you got that hole, you're pushing the sand down in there, and then once you put so much pressure, and that oil is automatically coming up. How does the crude come back out of the ground?
There's artificial lift is where that comes in. What we're doing the frac is just opening that zone and allowing it to come out. But then when you see like a pump jack out there, that's called artificial lift.
Okay.
That's pumping that crude back up.
Sorry, I was going back to my Beverly Hillbillies when you see,
Right.
when you see the crude pumping out of the ground. That's not happening.
And it very well could.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't
You're
happen.
just opening the hole up
Yes.
for it to, okay.
Giving it a highway to come out.
And when we say you go down in the ground, you're drilling down, and we'll just talk about a vertical. Vertical well could be 12,000 foot down in the ground. Now out here, you have to drill horizontal, and pretty much everywhere now, they've started going horizontal. So if you can imagine, they're gonna take that drill stem, and they're gonna tilt that drill head just a little bit, and they're gonna start a curve. So they'll go down 10,000 feet and start the curve. And when they get all said and done and into the formation they want, 27,000 foot. And there's
I can't even fathom that.
And there's, you'll see trucks around here too hauling pipe around. Well, some of it's drill stem, some of it's casing piping, and the casing gets smaller as you go down in there to help with everything you're doing. But
So you don't lose your pressure more than anything.
Yep, to help with your pressure. And so, when we say we're running 100 mesh and they're kind of fighting a well. Well, they're having pressure problems. If they go down with 12,000 and it spikes to 20, they're gonna back out of it and go, hey, something's not right here. And then like wireline might have to come in, and they might have to rework the whole well. You just don't know until you try it.
Wireline is the ones that's gonna
Set off explosives down there.
perforate the casing, really.
And there's so much that goes into it, but that if we could sit here for hours and talk about it. But in layman's terms, Mike nailed it. That's.
But that crude's coming back out of that hole,
Yep.
right? And then there's going to be some kind of storage tank.
You'll have a tank battery look kind of like this.
Okay, that's holding the crude.
Yep.
For the tankers to come out, and they're loading right out of that tanker.
We'll have one for what they call production water, when they separate everything up. Production water, condensate, and crude. It's all
Oh, that was the other thing too, because you got water out there that's going down in that hole.
You got water, you got condensate, which condensate, layman's terms, it's how they make octane for your gasoline fuel. You could run a car on it. I wouldn't recommend it, but they used to call it drip gas. I mean, it'll run. It's very flammable, highly explosive. One thing we didn't go over, how do we know how much sand goes in our trucks? Well, we set on a scale.
Oh yeah.
As they're loading us. So you could get a pretty good view of the load out here, but we'll pull the truck in. They're talking to us on the CB, and they have cameras set up in there so they can see down in our trailer to tell us when to stop. But we'll set on that scale. We'll tell them we want 62,000 pounds of sand split this way, and they'll hit it pretty much on the head within a couple 100 pounds every time. We have to be pretty spot on with how much sand we're bringing out there, because silos only hold so much on location, and you can't split a truck between two silos, or you shouldn't. Wouldn't say that hasn't been done, but when they order sand for a job, they know how much they want before we even get out there. Things happen, we've had to go out, they get down in a well and they start fighting it, and we've got 3 full silos of sand, and they
transload it out.
Yep, we'll go out there with a transloader like that, and we'll empty those silos out because they're transported. They'll lay down on a truck or on a trailer, and you'll truck them out and take them to another job. Yeah, when we show up, they know that, hey, this job is this many wells, this many stages. We need 65 million pounds of sand. And so part of our job is to go, okay, we need this many trucks to do this many loads a day, this many silos to store, so we can have all your sand there, keep up with your frac, and we can be done in this many days. Well, that comes into the bidding. One way we started winning a lot of work is we put more trucks on it. We hauled heavier than everybody else. No DOT around here, is there? We hauled heavier than everybody. We put more trucks on it. We got it done faster. So our rate in the long run was way better. We weren't maybe necessarily cutting a tonnage rate, because most of it's on a tonnage rate.
Yeah.
But we could get it done with less trucks hauling more weight quicker.
Yeah.
And so it just blew up.
From this facility, what's like average distance to a lot of these places? Is it?
You know, the distance isn't too bad usually, but what gets us is the oilfield lease roads are rough.
I was just going to ask about the other thing that I've heard. The infrastructure can be horrible at some of these well sites. Is that what we're talking about? Getting out to them?
Getting out to them, you look 5, 10, 8, 10 miles an hour a lot of times, 4, maybe 20 miles sometimes.
Because I remember just seeing people like when I talked about the guys up in North Dakota, the Bakken up there, that like they said these road like would beat a truck up to death.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep. We're not the only trucks going down that road. Every one of those crude haulers, they came off of a pad down one of those lease roads. Well, they come out, they're 129.9 gross weight. Every load. And they want that. They have the barrels figured out, and it gets a little further, the specific gravity
really
of
nice
the oil.
trucks too that you see. I mean,
They are, you know. You guys, I don't know, Maverick gas stations are huge around here. So
they
Maverick,
just bought out all the come and goes in the
100%.
Midwest. Yeah.
So you guys are seeing them in Missouri and everything. They crude haul basically. So the crude they haul out's going to the refinery, but that crude is their product, their diesel, their gasoline. They come in and
so
said,
they're really, I mean, owning more of the supply chain of.
Yep.
100%.
Exactly what they're doing.
100%. And it kind of got from the stories I heard, and you hear a lot of stories, so I don't know how much truth there is to this, so don't quote me on it, but those refineries and everybody come to them and said, hey, you're using a lot of fuel, and we've got a supply for everybody else too. So if you want us to keep doing this for you, you've got to take a hold of the entire thing. So they go from out of their holding tanks with crude into the refinery, and at the same time they'll have 10 trucks running gasoline or diesel to their fuel stations. So they take it full circle.
Wow, that's impressive. Would you say the fracking industry has helped really build the town here?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. This is an oilfield town for sure.
Yep. Yeah,
Like, without the fracking, would this town even?
This is an oil filled town.
How did you find this?
Well, Mike grew up here.
Okay.
I was married. My kids' mom, she grew up in Vernal. So her dad, you talk about old school oil field, he's been out here since the 50s.
Well, you're originally from
Kansas.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Yep. So I lived in Colorado, Grand Junction, to be specific, for a while. And what I did there was a mechanic for a company that worked on natural gas engines. So out there, you'll have gas coming out of the ground that's going through a process facility. They're going to compress that gas, treat it, do whatever, and then put it in a pipeline. Eventually it ends up at your house, right? So I worked on those engines and compressors. Some about as big as that frac engine you saw. Some, I mean, a 3616's 5,000 horsepower and 25,000 foot-pounds of torque. And they're monsters.
So you've been doing this line of work.
How long you been in the oil field?
25 years.
I've been in it since 2014. So I'm still new to it, but when I found this, you come out here and if you got a CDL, you can get a job out here. Just depends on what you want to do, You go haul crude. It's lucrative. Them drivers can make, as a company driver, you can make $600 a day. And you'll work a 12, 13-hour shift.
I don't even
maybe.
need to say, there's got to be a lot of a lot of drivers out here. There's got to be a lot of CDL drivers.
So the crude will probably never stop moving, where if we're sitting here idle, they have to get that oil out.
Yeah.
And we have no rail, right? It keeps going back to that.
So you're going to have
out of here.
300, like he said, 300 loads every day.
Or more. I really think it's more than that.
Yeah.
I don't know, a little peek into a setup. This is pretty much every quicksand truck you see is this color.
Yeah, I noticed that, just the few that are in here.
Yep. Every one of them is a 4-axle truck with a steerable tag. We only have 3 sets of trains. So our leads are hooked to them, but we run a 3-axle lead. But this is our setup for the most part. Our setups we're pretty spoiled. Electric tarp, hydraulic traps. And when you're hauling sand like onto a location, you don't get out of your truck. They don't want you out of your truck. So you get up there. We even have remotes that we can open and close them from the cab if we needed to. But it's nice equipment, super nice equipment. I picked that 134 and 135 up from Tempty in Nebraska.
Are they all made David City there?
Yep.
Yeah, I figured they're
So
all.
then Cody called and said, hey, we want some pups. He spec'd out these pups to go behind them. So, I mean, obviously the color scheme and everything. And let me tell you, you can see us running down the road at night because they're bright. They're very bright. This 22 truck was one of the starters of it. It used to be a day cab. And Cody had it converted to a sleeper truck when we started kind of doing some more out of town stuff like that. But yeah, 22 was one of the first ones, but Baby Doll it's truck 14 is what they number it. But
This is y'all shop here right in the back?
Yep, we'll go. Yeah, this is, I guess, the back side of it.
I was gonna ask to run these, 46 tons, what motors are in these rigs? 'Cause you gotta have a big motor in these deals.
565 and 605 X15 Cummins, 18 speed. Where we are a little bit different being Mountain State, we run 370, 373 rears. We have experimented Mike's truck. There's you a fluid in for a frac pump. Mike, you have three 342s and we can pull it all day long.
What's that? I mean, when you're loading that up, fuel mileage is.
We don't get great fuel mileage. Yeah, I get in my truck that we won't talk about.
What I get in my truck.
I would not have guessed that.
I get 4.5 or 5, but I don't know. I guess fuel mileage is something that we look at, but at the end of the day, I've always said it, you're gonna put fuel in every day. Really don't, I mean, yes, you gotta watch it. If I was getting 3 miles a gallon, I'd probably wanna do something different, but we look pretty cool going down the road. It accounts for something, but we do look at it. We more focus on, hey, we know we get not good fuel mileage, so let's try and fuel at the cheapest places we can. Let's get the best discount we can get. You know, the same game that everybody plays. But
hey guys, we're super excited. We just launched the BulkLoads fuel card. After years of preparation and planning, we now have a card for our BulkLoads members. If you're interested, go to the link below or go on BulkLoads and click on the fuel card tab. This card we have put together, you can save at all the major truck stops. We're super excited to get it out there. So check out the BulkLoads fuel card.
talk about cattle pots. You don't see a bull hauler that don't look pretty awesome 99% of the time, and they really don't care if they're getting 3 miles a gallon. They're going,
So a lot of these trucks, a lot of the guys done early on Friday and then they come in and get the maintenance done, or I'm just seeing a lot of trucks here today. I know obviously it's Friday afternoon.
It's Friday afternoon. We're we have a job going right now that is just, we need like 3 trucks out there. They're day cabs. They slip seat them. So they still run them 24 hours a day, but they didn't need as many. So right now we're kind of that in between jobs. So trucks are getting brought in, maintenance, trailers are getting brought in maintenance. So Monday, when this one kicks off, everything will be gone, But a little bit about the shop, that lift, you could put 2 trucks on that lift if you can fit them on there, and it'll lift both of them up. So we do all our services on that. If we have to pull a tranny or anything, it's a lot easier to do it up in the air than it is on the ground. It's a lifesaver. And if you want to service your pickup on weekend or whatever, they don't care. We'll run them in here, but that's my truck.
I was just gonna ask. Did it blow up or what happened?
I lost the head, cracked the head 3 places.
When did they get it? Start digging into this?
I started digging into it about a week ago. It took me kind of 2 half days to get it tore down. And so
golly,
I'll have some parts ordered here this week, and we'll get her put back together.
Are you actually doing this yourself?
Yes, sir. Yep. This was my life long before I ever drove truck.
The mechanic side?
Yeah, I went to tech school in Salina, Kansas.
Oh.
And for diesel mechanics, and I worked on trucks, heavy equipment for 15 years. I even worked for the military at one point in time, which is pretty cool. You get to work on a tank or something like that. But yeah, this is how I made my living for a long time, between stuff way bigger than this. So yeah, when you're an owner operator, it's nice to be able to have at least a little bit of a knowledge base to, a lot of guys can service their own trucks and stuff like that. They might not go this far into it. And to be honest, I got to have help every once in a while. And that's where I lean on some of our guys. You got buddies that, you know, they do this for a living. And
Yeah.
probably one of the trickiest things on these X15s is to set up the gear train in the front end. It's quite the process to do it. So they've done it 100 times and I've never done it once. So
My anxiety kicks in when I see it.
when I was a company driver, this was my truck. 2018 Kenworth W900. It's got a 565 X15 Cummins, 18 speed. Obviously we've got steerable tags on them, 373 rear ends in these, and they work, they pull. I mean, we've been 129.9 and it really doesn't stop us any. Some of the nicest equipment, it makes it, you know, if I had a guy come up to me and say, hey, why should I go work for Quicksand? Well, you get to drive some pretty cool looking trucks, you know, well taken care of. When they have problems, we get them fixed. You know, it's nice to, when you live in these things like we do, you want to live in something nice. So your whole brake system runs off of air pressure. So that little dinger going off is telling me that I don't have enough air pressure in my system. So each engine has its own individual air compressor on it. So your brakes throughout the whole truck are run off of air. Instead of hydraulic, like in your car, when you step on the pedal, that's using hydraulic fluid. Here we use air. This is all air operated. So this is the high-low range of our shifting, and this splits each gear from a direct drive to an overdrive. So this is an 18 speed. So I don't know if you can see the pattern there, but you have 2 ranges, high and low, in reverse and everything. And then each range you can split from direct drive to overdrive. So if you count all those gears up, it's 18 speeds. So everything runs off of air pressure. So Jake brakes are really just an extra safety device that we have. They assist us in slowing down, and how a Jake brake works is it lets the compression go out of the engine. So it's going to open valves all at the same time, and it slows you down. Now, why do they say no Jake brakes? Because they're loud. My truck's loud. This one here, I could have the Jake brakes on and you won't be able to hear it. You know, they're pretty quiet, but it's a noise thing. You know, every little kid, there's a few things they like on a truck. They like the horn, air operated, and they like to hear Jake brakes rolling. I'm a 38-year-old kid. I love hearing Jake brakes. You know, that's why my truck's loud. Yep. So it will really slow you down. It'll hold you back on a hill, because when you're talking we're loaded to 105,000 gross weight. You're coming down a mountain. You can't ride your brakes the entire time. They'll get hot, they'll glaze over, and they will completely stop working. You could have an accident. If you're going downhill and you didn't do such a good PM on your truck, and you lost a U-joint and the drive shaft come flying out of it, well, your engine brake is useless to you at that point. You can't downshift because you got no drive shaft. So you're gonna get on the brakes and try and get that girl slowed down, but if they get hot on you, you gotta find something to do. Run it up against the mountain to slow you down, whatever you can do. And if you've got the guts to stay in the truck, man, I don't know. I've never been put in that situation. I hope I never have to be, but it would be hard for me not to bail out of that thing, you know, and take my chances that way. I'll run you through over here, show you our little fuel island that we have. This is our fuel island. We have both off-road and on-road diesel. Cody fuels his tractors and stuff here, so we run off-road diesel on that. All the frac pumps, they run off-road diesel, so we have to have both. I can't remember the sizes of them. Our on-road diesel tank is way, way bigger than our off-road diesel, but we'll just order a whole transport full of fuel and they'll deliver it right to us just like they would a fuel station. We've got a little fob set up that we get fuel with, and you have a number that you punch in, you know, a designated number for each driver, and fuel up here at the yard.
So this is undercarriage wash.
This is undercarriage wash. It's on an automatic timer. You get choices. We'll just turn it on for a minute. Obviously we have this tank right here. If the water level gets so low, it will fill it back up, but we recycle most of the water that gets in there. It's a slurry system, so it gets all the heavy stuff out. They'll clean that out every once in a while, but.
And this was built specifically because so many trucks get so much mud and stuff underneath.
Well, we get hard winters out here, like real hard winters sometimes. We like to run it over, get the salt, the mag, all that stuff off of them. But yes, when we get out on these lease roads, it's going to be a sandy dirt that you're running on, and it just cakes up in there. Well, we want that stuff off of there. So we'll sit here, and it might take a while. You might sit on this thing for 30 minutes, but it will take a lot of that dirt off of it and get, you know, everything that we can't wash in here, as much of that heavy stuff off as we can. We want the undercarriage of those trucks to stay clean. That way, when our mechanics have to put it up on a lift, they don't have to dig a transmission out just to unbolt it, you know, or anything like that. But we acquired this maybe a year, maybe 2 years ago, somewhere in there. And now we've got, I mean, our own little blue beacon, if you will. We've got our acid, because you can see kind of what a frac pump, they get dirty. That acid will take a lot of this oil and stuff off of it. And then a soap that we usually primarily use on our trucks, and then a super heavy concentrated degreaser to help clean these off. That is a Detroit engine. I think they're about 2,200 horsepower. And it takes a dozen, maybe 20 pumps to run one frac. If they have something go wrong, engine problem with the fluid in, transmission problem, it's just an automatic transmission that drives them. A big Allison transmission, if you will. They have any kind of problems that they can't fix real fast, they're gonna yank that whole thing out of there and they're gonna back another one in, tie it in, and away they go. So that's all Caterpillar from tip to tail. They build the engine, they build the transmission, and they build the fluid in.
What would you guess that system costs right there?
Can't put my finger on it, but it's gonna be a couple commas in there per unit. Easily.
So Mike, the general public, there's a bad perception about fracking, that fracking's bad. You know, you see it in the news, articles. Obviously, we talked about different administrations coming in and banning fracking and all that, but you're out here. This has been a lifestyle for you. You made a career out of it. Obviously, this town feeds off the fracking industry, but like, what's the truth about fracking? Is it bad for the environment?
Truthfully, no. Short answer, no. We can get a little bit deeper into that. But we can start off with, we talked about that paraffin wax earlier.
Yeah.
You know, that's in our lip gloss, it's in our makeups, it's in all the plastics, it's our way of lifestyle, we have it. Now, if you want to go a little bit deeper, sure. Back in the day, maybe you had a well here and a well here and pump jacks everywhere and possibilities of spills, things like this. But contrary to belief, the oil field companies and the fracking industries and that, we very environmental conscientious. And now we're fracking on one pad and we go out remotely different ways. So the footprint that is impacted is a whole lot smaller. You don't look out here and have all the obstructions of the different pump jacks and the wells and things like that. The containments and the way we use the fluids and the chemicals and things like that is a whole lot safer. It's way less possibilities of spills. And
what about, isn't there a misconception that this fracking is now causing earthquakes?
Earthquakes, yeah. Earthquakes have been around for a long time. And you look at where these claims are being made, there's natural fault lines in those areas, right? So it dates back to before fracking. I think the misconception comes from the word frack, and you're fracking the ground, but really all you're doing is opening up a zone that's already there. So the seismic activity that we see when we're doing our exploratory is not changed. The data has stayed pretty flat across there from when fracking first started to fracking to today.
A lot of people don't realize, Utah, you worked up in North Dakota, Williston area, but there's communities that they live and feed their families on this industry. What happens if this industry goes away? It's
what feeds and drives these communities, right? Everybody's job, whether it's, from the beginning of it, the guys that go out there and do the exploratory, the guys that haul the crude out of here. There's really nowhere else to work.
And you were talking even a lot of, we think of fracking, natural gas, crude oil, but there's a lot of other products besides fuel that's being produced. You were showing us some of that, but you're talking about just like the lip balm and so many other products that every day Americans are using, they don't even realize it's coming from the fracking industry.
Right. I mean, our automobiles, a lot of the interior parts and the plastics have some sorts of the petroleums in it. But I don't think you can really look at anything that we use in our day-to-day life that the petroleum doesn't affect. That it's some sort of petroleum is involved in the process of making products.